Welcome to Top 10 Arena. The Taliban regime in Afghanistan that the US toppled in 2001 is now back in power. The government's rapid collapse came 20 years after the US invaded Afghanistan to fight the war on terror following the 9/11 attacks on Pentagon and World Trade Center. Here we have accumulated the top 10 interesting facts about how Taliban defeated the American forces and Afghan government. Number 10. Isolating the Afghan military. The collapse of the Afghan security forces was a result of operational-level isolation. The Taliban took a deliberate approach to isolate its foe at the operational level for more than 18 months by taking advantage of fundamental weaknesses in the posture of Afghan security forces. Initially, the Afghan government focused on holding terrain through checkpoints and small outposts scattered across the country. The approach dispersed units across the country and rendered them unable to mutually reinforce one another. Number 9. Targeting cohesion through threats and texts. More than 70% of Afghan population has access to cell phones, and the Taliban has adapted accordingly using modern Russian-style information warfare that deploys fake accounts and bots to separate its messages and undermine the Afghan government. The group combined the new with the old as well, using appeals from tribals elder alongside text messages to compel Afghan security forces to surrender. Number 8. Practicing a new form of terror, kill and compel. The Taliban used terror to further undermine confidence in the government and degrade Kabul's ability to fight. The Taliban has employed a covert assassination campaign to target civil society leaders and key military personnel such as pilots. Everyone knew the Taliban was behind most of the assassinations, but the fact that it didn't take credit for them made the killings seem more insidious. Moreover, the best way to destroy an air force is on the ground. These attacks were designed to compel other Afghan pilots to abandon their posts. Number 7. Maltreatment of Afghan forces. Afghan army played a major role in the victory of Taliban in Afghanistan. The problem lies not in the training or equipment provided to Afghanistan, but in local mismanagement, corruption, and demoralized soldiers who often lack the will to fight. Afghan police have not been paid for months. Besides, those Afghan forces were often not supplied with adequate arms or even food or water. Many soldiers and police were also posted to areas far from their homes, to which they have no connection, and some choose to abandon their post and return home to defend their families. Number 6. Americans' little understanding of Afghanistan. Central to understanding America's failure in Afghanistan also comes down to understanding the country's history and its culture. There has never been a central government in Afghanistan. To think we could establish one was a fool's errand, said the former US intelligence officer and Afghan war veteran. The surprise at the Taliban regaining power shows just how little Americans, from top to bottom, understand Afghanistan. Number 5. Trump-Taliban deal. Though the Taliban overran most of the country within days, the road to their final victory started from the agreement that they signed with the United States in February 2020. The Trump administration held direct talks with the Taliban and signed an exit agreement. The Taliban did not even agree to a ceasefire. America agreed to withdraw its troops by May 1, 2021, in return for assurance from the Taliban that they would not let transnational terrorist groups operate from Afghan soil. Number 4. The Taliban's rapid advance across Afghanistan. This provided the Taliban a sense of victory while demoralizing the Afghan troops. Pro-Taliban channels immediately celebrated the Doha deal as their victory over America. They said if they could defeat the United States, the world's preeminent superpower, the Afghan forces would not be much of the challenge. During the war, the Taliban's main challenge was the American airstrike went down drastically. In return for the Taliban stopping attacks on American forces completely. This allowed the Taliban to regroup across the country, plan for the next offensive supply lines. Number 3. The Ghani Factor. Mr. Ghani, a former World Bank economist, could not build an administration that commands over at least all the anti-Taliban forces. He tried to weaken the former warlords in the name of strengthening the national forces, as well as shore up his political base. But in the course, he weakened the anti-Taliban coalition further. So, well before the American withdrawal started on May 1, the Ghani administration looked like the loose confederation of the different fiefdoms. Once it was clear that the Americans were leaving, the cracks in the administration started widening. All the Taliban had to do was to push it from outside. Number 2. Impact of American withdrawal. The Taliban launched their offensive on May 1. The day remaining United States troops started withdrawing. Mr. Biden withdrew not just American air support, but also the intelligence agents and contractors who were serving Afghanistan's warplanes and helicopters. This has, besides the psychological and political impacts of the withdrawal, debilitated the Afghan Air Force, the only superiority the Afghan troops had in the war. The Taliban could easily overrun remote government outposts and sweep through the country's north. With cities under their control, they encircled the Kabul. Number 1. Role of regional powers and neighbor countries. The Taliban's security control over Afghanistan makes them acceptable to both Russia and China. Iran and Pakistan, two neighboring countries to Afghanistan, have also played a role in the Taliban's comeback. Pakistan has played a historical role from refugee camps to religious scholars and logistics in the empowerment of Taliban across Afghanistan. The Taliban has received support from the country's majority ethnic group, the Pashtuns. So what are your thoughts about Taliban? Tell us in comment section below. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel before leaving. Hit the bell icon to get the latest updates.